Hello and welcome to Better Life Today. So glad you are here today. I think today's program is going to be a real blessing to you. My guest today is Janessa Schaefer. Janessa, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Charlie heard you speak at the Grants Pass Church a while back, and he came to work. In fact, he texted us. He texted all my coworkers shortly after hearing you speak, and he said, we need to get Janessa on Better Life Today to share the story that you were speaking of. So I'm glad you're here. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Janessa Schaefer, and I'm originally from Napa Valley. I moved up here about 4 years ago. Okay. And my grandpa on my mom's side is Ukrainian, and he was in the concentration camp in Dachau, so he's a survivor. Wow. And he had an opportunity during one of his visits to Germany to visit other survivors to forgive the man who had beaten him, given him 25 lashes, shook his hand and forgave him. And now he goes to schools and different places and tells about his story of forgiveness and how it's so important to forgive.
It is. Yeah.
But
forgiveness is key.
Yes.
You know, we're told in the Bible that if we don't forgive others, our Heavenly Father can't forgive us. Mm-hmm. So I imagine your grandpa, if anybody had a reason to hold on to a grudge, it would be someone that was in a concentration camp and being so mistreated, and yet he forgave. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. So I am 25 years old, and I am doing herbal studies in Utah. Okay. And I'll be finished with that soon, so I'm very excited about that, because I know God has big plans for that. And I'll be going to, I'm a caregiver. Okay. So that's what I do.
What brought you to Southern Oregon?
My cousin. I have some cousins here as well as in Ukraine too. Okay.
Well, if you haven't guessed yet, our topic today is going to be on the Ukraine. Yes. And why don't we talk about that? A young man, sounds like an amazing young man by the name of Rob Roy. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Rob. How do you know him?
So I met them when they lived here for about a year in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Okay. They're originally from Idaho, so they moved back there. He's part of a Seventh-day Adventist church over there. Okay. And I know him very close with his sister and his mother. And he had it in his heart when he heard about what was going on in Ukraine to want to go and help. Because as you may know, not too many people wanted to go over and help or were very aware of what was going on over there. And he just had it in his heart. He knew he needed to go.
I'm sure God put that on his heart.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
So what's he doing there?
Yes. So he's my age, actually, and he has a little bit of military experience, which allowed him to be able to skip some of those long lines of traffic that they have over there to get the job done faster. And I have some excerpts here on my phone. I follow the group chat that they have, and he also has posts on Instagram, pictures and information of what they've been doing. And I missed a few weeks worth because he originally went in late March, so he's been there just over a month now. And he has a lot of stories that he's done over there. Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's share some of those today.
All right. Yeah. So when they first went over there, he was carrying 120 pounds of gear with him. Wow. Mostly medical, but it was a lot of gear. And then they met up with some people over there who were already helping, and he got somebody to be his translator. And they met up with some people in a Baptist church, because he went to Poland first, and then into Ukraine, because you can't just go straight into Ukraine. And so they met with some people in a Baptist church, and they're working with the local fire station there. And then they're also working with this other lady. Her name is Christina, and she is part of the 8th Company, 128th Battalion, 112th Brigade in the Ukrainian Army. So She started fighting the war in Crimea in 2014 before coming to Kiev for 5 years to start her salon business. Her battalion was Ukraine Territorial Defense and now their army. Many of the supplies that he has requested and ordered are specifically for them.
Wow.
And their compound helps supply her company. So all of the tourniquets that they have got and quick clots have gone to her battalion. So she's been helping out a lot there. It was her choice.
Wow.
She wasn't forced into it. She just decided she wanted to help to do that.
That's just amazing. And do we know how old she is?
I don't think so.
Do we have a picture of her?
Yes, we
All
do
right.
have a picture
We'll
of her.
put that up on the screen.
We have a
so-
few pictures.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So she went from fighting a war back in 2014 and that kind of ended. And so then she got into the salon business.
Yes.
And now she's back in uniform.
Right.
Amazing.
Right.
Okay.
So here's a quick excerpt here. He says, just to clarify, the reason things got heated and we were held as spies at the checkpoint is because we were using the military codes that we get from our contact in the Ukrainian Territorial Defense. We've only ran into problems using codes 3 times.
Wow.
They were suspicious and upset because our gear had similarities to Russian equipment. So we fixed that issue today, got new armor carriers inside Romania, picking up more supplies and another van to convoy from Moldova, then heading to Irpin. I ride at checkpoints at times because some of them take hours, which is why skipping the line is so helpful.
Wow.
So he says also, so you understand, being a U.S. citizen has a lot of mixed reactions, especially at the checkpoints. Some people thank us, grab our hands, the other half sneer. He heard people say F you a few times. The only people to fully embrace Americans from what I have seen, he says, is literally everyone's grandmother in every village.
Oh.
And most of the mothers, as there are still many mothers and children, the men are very hesitant most of the time. The people here are like cats, he says, until you earn respect or they feel they can trust you and your intent. They treat you cold and skeptical. But once you start sharing tea and helping with your hands, it's like I'm family, like I've known them my whole life.
Wow.
The affection and friendship is earned, never just given. Unfortunately, in most western parts of Ukraine, there has been a lot of war tourism. People showing up, doing little to no good, just taking selfies for a few days and leaving.
That is sad. No
Yeah.
wonder people have that attitude.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful. He was talking about how in some places you go from people dressed really nice and living a normal life in some towns, and then you go just the town over next door and it's total massacre. Roads totally broken up, cars flipped over and dead bodies. It's two separate things in the same country.
And so close to one another.
so close to each other.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Now you said he had been held as a spy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know much more about that?
I
situation?
don't. That's the only
Okay.
excerpt I have of
Okay.
here on that.
Yeah. Too bad we couldn't get him on like via Zoom or something.
I
and
was
tell his
hoping for
story.
that. Yeah, but he's busy.
Yeah.
And it,
You said he works at a fire station, so he's in the role of being a firefighter.
well, no, works with the local fire
okay.
station, so not too much, but they have used their help a little bit
Yeah.
throughout it. Yeah. Mostly they work with a lady named Oksana. She's kind of the boss lady, so to call, because he doesn't really have a person that he talks to specifically because he went there on his own. And so she's with the Baptist church, and I have a picture of her and another lady, Luda, and they've been doing a lot of helping there. Her and this lady actually went into debt because they helped out so much. They went into debt about $100,200 because of, so he says here, I'm sorry, I'll just read this. So if you don't know, I do kind of have a boss over here, kind of self-appointed, but this is her and Luda. We take care of each other. Mostly they feed me and assign me tasks they're not suited for. Little story on Oksana, my lady boss. At the start of the war, before any aid was being sent, she went into debt buying supplies and providing aid, about $1,200. So that's a lot of money for them.
Yeah. And is she buying medical supplies? Is that the sort of aid that she's offering, or is it food or water, or do you know?
I think food and medical.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it just strikes me how God uses people. And certainly
it's amazing.
nothing is too hard for him to do, but he blesses us and lets us, you know, give our talents
Absolutely.
and our skills
Yes.
so that we can help others.
Absolutely.
I think of this friend of yours, Rob, mid-20s, right? About your age?
About my age, yeah.
And just feels this burden on his heart and heads to the Ukraine all by himself.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Can our viewers follow him on Instagram?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll put that up on the screen, how people can, you know, stay in touch.
Yes, yes.
Okay. What else do you have?
So I have something from just yesterday on here. He's showing his location from a few hours ago at this time yesterday. And he says only an 11-hour drive to Moscow. We're in between front lines currently. Not really a hot zone as we call them. We delivered a pretty big shipment of food to Pavlograd, then moved to pick up 50 sets of body armor in bulk. It cost us 2,000, or anyway, I'm not sure what that is in hryvnia,
Okay.
their money over there, which is about $9,000 our money. So not all of the armor is for us. We work directly in support of the 112th Brigade in the Ukrainian Army with Christina, the lady I mentioned.
Okay.
And me and my partner Isaac covered 20%, so all of our team would have body armor. Yeah, they made a lot of that too. I have some pictures of that too. But they were making it themselves, and Oksana was helping sew the vests, and he was talking about how the women were going from sewing wedding dresses to sewing these vests for body armor.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And how fast life can change for
Yes,
some people.
yes. He says you can always focus on the bad in situations just like you can always find the bad in people if you look for it. And here you don't have to look too far to find that. But the weight is heavy for everyone here, but he says today I'll focus on the fact that I ate 2 hot dogs with mayonnaise and ketchup.
That's a blessing. Yeah, right? And so many people don't have food or
Yes.
probably aren't eating exactly what they want.
Right, exactly. He said in here that they hadn't had fruit for 6 weeks. So that's pretty much the entire time he's been out there for, because he's been out there for a little over a month now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, when you were talking about the Ukraine, I thought of some of the stories that I've read and pictures that I've seen from these people holed up in a church, and they'd been there for a couple of weeks, and they were able to get out and move, and moments later, a bomb bombed the church and just destroyed the church. But God protected protected them long enough to move, to get out of harm's way.
Wow.
We've read stories and heard stories about bombs just exploding in the air,
Yes.
you know, and not reaching their
Wow.
target.
Wow.
We read of a village where the people prayed, like in Bible times when the enemy was confused.
Yes, yes.
And they began fighting each other. And, you know, it's amazing what God is doing.
Praise
yes,
God.
there is heartache, and there is bloodshed, and there is death. But like your friend just said, we need to focus on the good. Because God is still, you know, working. He's still in control, and he's still showing himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, the Bible verse I really like. All things work together for good to them that love God, and to them that are called according to his purpose.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a great promise. Anything else you want to share?
Yes, I do have a little bit
Good.
more. It says, going to Kharkiv in the morning. I believe this was about a week ago. This will be our deepest mission into contested territory. Going with the military, we're providing the supplies and aid. I'll be in the lead car. I'm cautiously worried. We all talked here and we are very aware of the risk, but the needs in Kharkiv are very great. We will have about 3,000 pounds of supply.
Wow.
Kharkiv, for those that don't know, is 30 kilometers from Russia. I won't tell you what we know about this mission and the risk involved. What I can say, though, is I'm extremely proud and grateful for the work we've done here thus far. Strangers have all become so close. I've had the pleasure of connecting and working with civilians, fire rescue, medical, military, and even some mercenaries. And he says, never been a fan of mercenaries, but this war has put so many people from so many different walks of life together, and I couldn't be prouder to have served next to this ragtag group of brave misfits.
Wow.
5 people from our team will be in the convoy: Roma, Isaac, our team, Alina, and me. And so he says, most of you in this chat I'm very close to, so those that know, I love you. Be the change you want to see in the world. Face the dragon head on, and when you're terrified, he says, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Yeah.
And when they got back here, he says, on our way back, almost deserted roads to Kharkiv, a flat tires, some off-roading because of blockaded roads. Shovels were required today, supplies delivered to a shelter with about 250 residents, mostly in the bunker. Only 7 bombs went off. Only 7 bombs.
Wow.
We count when they're close, though. It shakes everything, he says. And then he says, we got the call. Looks like we've got another run to Chernihiv early in the morning. So that's what they've been doing for the last, well, I can't say for how long, but mostly runs to different places to bring the supplies to and from.
Wow. What a guy. What a guy. Before we end the program, we're going to put some contact information on your screen so that if you feel led to help, there's a way to make a monetary donation, which you will make sure he gets.
Yes, yes, thank
Wonderful.
you. Yeah, there's something here that he says about war. He says, I've witnessed enough crimes against humanity to last a lifetime. This was written more recently. Interesting how much my perspective on war has changed since he got there.
Yeah.
They speak of war crimes. Perhaps war is a crime all by itself, orchestrated by men in ivory towers who often never step down from those ivory towers to walk among us, to wash the blood from their hands in the mud they have made for the rest of us to walk in.
Wow.
I'm sure they see the reports, but pictures and satellite images are very different. And then he just says there's so many things to say here, just a lot of stories.
Yeah.
But he says, just to focus on the good. Don't focus on the bad of it.
Yeah.
It'll be that change that you want to see.
That's so true. Like he said, he's seen things that he probably never dreamt he would see in his lifetime.
Yeah, that's a lifetime worth of things to see in just a month.
He'll come home a changed man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to share another story coming out of the Ukraine, and I'll just read it verbatim here. I have a friend who has been living in the basement for more than 2 weeks. She says there were only 2 liters of water and 2 packs of cookies, and 7 people in the basement. She says water and cookies do not end. Everyone eats and drinks as much as they want. She says it was her dream to see God's miracles with her own eyes. She says angels have sung with them in the basement. She said there's no heating, but it's warm. And as she said, I cried tears of joy for the first time in the war. We are God's children, and he will never leave us, never forget us. Let this testimony strengthen everyone's faith. We as children must trust in the hands of our Father. Indescribable feelings when God's miracles happen before our eyes.
Amen.
What a story.
That's beautiful.
What
I
a
love
story.
that.
You know, cookies may not be the healthiest thing to be eating morning, noon, and night, but they're being sustained.
Yes, it's something.
It's just 2 liters of water and 2 packs of cookies and 7 people in the basement, and yet they eat to their fill.
Yes.
It reminds me of the story in the Bible. In fact, it reminded me of several stories, but there's the story of Elisha. Elisha fed 100 men with 20 loaves of bread. And you can read that story for yourself in 2 Kings 4. But my favorite story is of Elijah and the widow. And Elijah had been hiding out by the brook and being fed by the ravens, which is another neat story. But God told him, you know, go into this town. And in fact, let's see if I can find that real quick. The story of Elijah being fed by ravens is in 1 Kings. All right, this is 1 Kings 17, 8 through 6, and I'll just read that. Then the word of the Lord came to him, Elijah, arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon and dwell there. See, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you." So he rose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, indeed a widow was there gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, "Please bring me a little water in a cup that I may drink." And as she was going to get it, he called to her and said, "Please bring me a morsel of bread in your hand." So she said, "As the Lord your God lives, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in a bin and a little oil in a jar. And see, I'm gathering a couple of sticks that I may go in and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat and die." And Elijah said to her, "Do not fear. Go and do as you have said, but make me a small cake from it first and bring it to me, and afterward make some for yourself and your son. For thus says the Lord God of Israel, the bin of flour shall not be used up, nor shall the jar of oil run dry, until the day the Lord sends rain on the earth." And so she went away and did according to the word of Elijah, and she and he and her household ate for many days.
Amen.
The bin of flour was not used up, nor did the jar of oil run dry, according to the word of the Lord which he spoke by Elijah.
Yes.
What a beautiful story.
It really is.
The God of miracles in the Bible is still the God of miracles today.
Amen.
It's just a wonderful story. Well, how can our viewers get involved? We have a few minutes left. What is
Yes.
it? A phone number, a website? How do we do this?
Yes, my phone number. I do have one more thing here to share
Yes.
before we end. He says, just so you have more information about what he's doing, a variety of small and large tasks done from the crack of light till long past the setting of the sun. He says, sometimes I hate how truly small and powerless I feel, but I'm doing my part, and so do 40 plus million Ukrainians performing small and large tasks alike while their country is under siege. Yes, he was gardening and helping some women while they were under lockdown, and they had to stay in their homes. So they thought they would garden to make some use of the time, I guess,
Wow.
you know. And they hear the
Amazing.
bombs going off in the
Right?
distance right there in
I'd be
Kiev.
hiding maybe. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'd be doing. Wow.
He says here, I've seen the worst and also the very best in people coming together to help each other in need. Our compound provides a variety of services from medicine to food and hygiene distribution throughout the Great Kiev region and towards the east. From supply runs and deliveries to making body armor and plate carriers, a soup kitchen to an emergency base of operation, everyone doing what they can with what they have, where they are, all while their lives or homes are under asunder. Under pressure, I've seen nothing but the most resilience from the people of Ukraine. I will be creating a portal for you to help us, and yes, I do have that. It says it will go directly to the needs here, including housing for refugees, acquiring another vehicle and gas for distribution of resources.
Okay.
Yes. And he says a big thank you to all the supplies being sent to Ukraine. The economy, at least here in Kiev, is basically non-existent, so the need is very real.
Okay. All right.
And
so how do we
My
act?
phone number is 707-321-4753.
Okay.
And that is how you can contact me. I have direct connection, and I can get those donations over. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Janessa.
thank you.
We have just like 2.5 minutes. You had mentioned about a woman going into labor.
Yes.
Share that story with us.
Yes, my violin teacher here, she has connections in Kharkiv. Her family is there. And she talked about a lady who went into labor in the middle of an evacuation in this building while the Russian soldiers were approaching. And they were able to get her safely out of that building just after her birth.
Wow.
And get her safely out, yeah.
Amazing. God
And
is
she
so
has
good.
successfully reached her goal too of the funds she wanted to raise, and she's continuing to raise those funds too and help the children in Ukraine, yeah.
Wow. Well, if you are able, let Roy know that we talked about him today
Yes.
and that we'll be praying for him.
Yes, thank you.
Any idea how long he's going to stay?
I don't know if he'll want to come back, to be honest. Yes, I would love to go myself and help, but I know that I'm needed here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are your plans for life?
Well, when I was 12 years old, God called me to be a natural healer. So I started a school with that when I was 17, and I'm going to continue. We'll see what God has plans in the future with that, but
Okay. Wish you the best.
thank you.
And of course, if it's God's will for your life, then nothing can stop you.
Absolutely not. Yes.
All right.
I want to tell everybody just to be themselves and to
Yes.
be who God created you to be, because that's the most powerful tool that you have.
Yeah.
Whatever God is calling you to do that confidently and have absolutely no fear. Just like David running out to meet Goliath. He
Yes.
says, Rak Hazak, absolute confidence. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Janessa, thank you again. It's been great getting to know you and
Thank
hearing the
you.
story of your friend, and what a guy. And I
Thank
just
you.
love his words, be the change you want to see in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Again, we'll put that contact information for Janessa up on the screen. And if you feel the Spirit leading you to help financially, she will make sure those funds get to Rob, and then in turn, he will, of course, buy the supplies and the necessary items that he needs to help the people of Ukraine. Thank you for watching Better Life Today. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.